Hello and welcome everyone. In this chapter, we would be discussing about the personality and values. So now, first we must know what personality is. That the dynamic organization with the individual within the individual of those psychological systems that determine his unique adjustments to the sum of total ways in which an individual reacts and interacts with others, uh, and there are the measurable traits a person exhibits. This is simply the personality. Or in further simpler words, we can define personality is what your mindset is and how you behave with other people around you. Since personality is quite a complex concept, but it is quite important in terms of organizations. So therefore, we need to measure in every organization. Managers take decisions sometimes depending on the person, because once the management hires a person, the person must be allocated at a proper place. And if the role given to that person is not according to his personality, the output might be decreased. So therefore, it is necessary to measure personality to it's used to be helpful in hiring decisions. Most common method is self-reporting surveys. That is, generally people take surveys or questionnaires, fill the questionnaires, and the response comes up and that tells them what type of personality they have. Or the observer ratings surveys provide an independent assessment of personality, uh, often better predictors, because it is believed that self surveys are a bit biased. So now for this slide represents the five factors factors that determine the personality. However, the list can go on, but biological factors, cultural and family factors, as well as the social factors and situational factors are the main factors that determine someone's personality. So personality traits are the enduring characters that describe an individual's behavior over a greater period of time. The more consistent the characteristic and the more frequent it occurs in diverse situations, the more important the trait becomes. That is, if the situation is varying over a period of time, but the behavioral output remains the same, then we can say there the personality trait of that particular person is this, or we can categorize accordingly. There are two dominant frameworks used in describing people's personality. One is Meyer-Briggs type indicator, and the second is Big Five models. In this slide, it demonstrates the Meyer-Briggs type indicator, most widely used instrument in the world. The participants are classified in four axes to determine one of 16 possible personality types, such as ENTJ. Basically, these are the short terms associated with the short symbols associated with each definition. And since the participants are classified in four, so then the opposite might happen. For example, a person can be extroverted. Similarly, the other person can also be introverted. So therefore, in this contrast, it turns out to be the 16 characters that are assigned symbol uh, uh, representing the each personality. Uh, these personalities have a short indication besides them. Sociable and assertive are the extroverts. Introverts are quiet and shy, and the list goes on. Whereas in this slide, each definition is more elaborated. Let's say introverts that we have talked about often like working alone in a small group, or prefer a more deliberate more deliberate pace, and like to focus on one task at a time. And the list goes on for the other um, indicators of personality similarly. Now, this one is the second model that is being used to measure the personality, which includes five big dimensions. That is why it is called the big five model of personality dimensions. And this, the extroversion, agreeableness, consciousness, emotionally stability, and openness to experience are the 5 dimensions of someone's personality. And these are also tagged with the small characteristics, such as agreeableness dimension includes the attributes of good nature, cooperative, and trusting. Now, how do the big five traits predict behavior? Researchers has shown this to be a better framework. Certain traits have been shown to strongly relate to higher job performances. Highly consciousness people develop more job knowledge, exert greater effort, and have better performance. Similarly, other big five traits are also have implications for the workforce, such as emotionally stability. Emotional stability is related to job satisfaction. Extroverts tend to be happier in the jobs and have a good mood and good skills, whereas open people are more creative and can be good leaders as well, and agreeable people are good in social settings. This is how these big five traits helping around the globe in different organizations, and it gives a good view to the managers in taking decisions regarding the people. More relevant personality traits might include risk taking, the willingness to take risk chances. Environments, risk takers make faster decisions with less information. So therefore, assess the job and the trait. Willingness to take risk might be an obstacle for an auditor, but an asset to the stock trader. So this gives us a view how risk taking can be handled as being the part of personality. Risk takers with the might play a good role when stock trading happens, where risk taker can take a risk and invest in a good stock, being less informed. Whereas those who are risk averting people, or the people who are having an element in their personality of risk averting, might not perform well in trading stocks, but they can perform well in auditors. So far, personality traits, enduring characters, describe a person's behavior. These are related to the values, which are values are very specific and describe belief system than behavioral tendencies. Other than these two models, there is also less known but a very well established triad that is known as the dark triad, because this includes actually the all the negative personality traits. So that's why it is known as the dark triad, including narcissists, Machiavellian, and psychopaths. Now, the second part of this chapter is the values. Values, basic convictions on how to conduct yourself or how to live your life that is personally or socially preferable, or how to live life properly. Basically, values define who you are. It includes attributes of values. These are the basic components that make up the values. It is the first is the content attribute, and second is the intensity attribute. Content attribute, what you will end up with. Intensity, how important is that content for you. Value system, a person's values rank ordered by intensity, and tends to be relatively constant and consistent. Importance of value provides understanding of attitudes, motivation, and behavior. Influence our perception of the world around us, represent interpretation of what is right and what is wrong. It also implies that some behaviors or outcomes are preferred over the others. Let's take an example of saving a dog who is drowning in the water or seawater. You might observe this dog drowning in the water. You might be thinking to help it out, to save the life of the dog, and you will go to save the particular dog. But since the complexity involves in, at the same time, let's say you have been observing a person, an individual, a human being is also drowning in the same seawater. Now, what would you prefer? This is the value comparison. You might definitely be giving value to save a dog, because the life of a dog is also important. But since the value of a life of human being is much higher and much superior than the dog, so therefore now you would be deciding which value do you belong. How convicted are you to behave based on your values towards saving the dog or the human being? So definitely in a general way, we can assist, or manager can assist on these observations in any organization in a similar way. So therefore now you would prefer based on your values and act accordingly, and you would save the human life. And this is that makes a difference in real. So with this slide, we end up our chapter. Thank you so much.